All right, thank you so much for staying with us. You are watching Kakaki, the African Voice, in case you just joined us. And that was a stimulating time on Kakaki Social. But now, time to get back into our conversations. This morning, we told you that we will be revisiting the ownership crisis surrounding the Riverpark estate, which is located in Lugbe, here in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. And of course, that we began looking at it on Tuesday, actually, on this show, arising from a comment made by one of our newspaper reviewers on Monday in reaction to a newspaper headline on the program. Dr. Lemi Ugegbe commented on it on Monday during the newspaper. Kojo Ansah Mensah. Kojo is the Chief Executive Officer of JonahCapital Nigeria Limited and Houses for Africa Nigeria Limited. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You are most welcome. So,
thank you.
As Kunle has given us a background to this, let's jump straight to this. Who owns JonahCapital Nigeria Limited and the Riverpark estate, in your opinion?
Thank you very much. It's not my opinion that matters. It's the opinion of the law and the opinion of the people who have the right authority to determine who owns something. Now, I'll refer to the investigation by the federal minister, the FCT minister, when he set up a committee to look into the crisis of Riverpark, which is really the bedrock of what we're talking about here. The FCT minister set up a committee of, I think, about 12 to 13 people, invited all parties, JonahCapital, Houses for Africa, represented by me, the adverse parties, and then the committee chaired by the General Counsel, in which it was consisted of all the heads of agencies of the FCD. Of course, the land is what we're talking about here, and it's the FCT minister who allocates land. The FCT minister came out with his pronouncement. I'm sure it was on one of the TV stations, channels or so, and I'm sure everybody saw that, where he pronounced that the original allottee of Riverpark Estate is JonahCapital, owned by Sir Samuel Jonah. Now, that is what has led to attempts by people in dark corners, hiding in offices, regulatory offices, specifically Magaji SAN of CAC, to alter the shareholding.
Who is Magaji? You say Magaji SAN of CAC?
Registrar General of CAC. Because the FCT minister came out to declare that upon their investigation, the Riverpark Estate belongs to JonahCapital, which belongs to Sir Samuel Jonah. Now, immediately the FCT minister came to make that pronouncement. Certain parties took the minister to court using JonahCapital. We now entered appearance that we are not aware of these parties trying to use JonahCapital to sue the FCT minister. It is at that point in time that Magaji and the people that are with him have made several attempts to alter the shareholding of JonahCapital, and by that effort, expropriated our shares, expunged corporate records, distorted, essentially committed fraud with his office against our company to give locals to these people.
This is a very
it is a matter
Kojo,
of
this is a very serious allegation against the registrar of the CAC.
The registrar of the CAC should be looked into by all anti-graft organizations of this country.
Do you have evidence for all you were saying? These are very strong allegations.
I can give you the CAC records of the company on November 30th and give you the CAC records of the company that he altered on 8th of December. He did that even against the advice of the AGF, when the AGF wrote him on the 28th of September.
When you say AGF, that's...
The Attorney General of the Federation wrote him on the 28th of September that the issues of fraud which are being perpetrated against us is being investigated by, is being reviewed by his office. And as such, he should place a caveat and stay action. When we got hint that Magaji was in concert with the other party trying to alter our shares.
Who are these other parties that you're talking about?
I don't want to mention names because of libel issues and stuff. So if you permit me, they know who they are. In fact, somebody came here yesterday claiming to represent one of them. And look, a company called JonahCapital is claiming that it does not know a founder called Samuel Jonah. For crying out loud, what are purposes of names? Samuel JonahCapital. And then this person has the audacity to say that we influenced the FCT minister and sat on this channel to blackmail the FCT minister that we influenced the FCT minister. And this person is a lawyer, and then they talk about the fact that we rushed to court. I'm a foreigner. The law is what gives me confidence that I would be able to safely operate in a foreign country. So if I have issues, I go to court. Look, in every corporate document, in every composition of document, it tells you remedies for dispute resolution. And the court is where dispute resolutions are solved. So when people want to resort to using boardrooms of compromised regulatory bodies to do some of these things, that should give everybody cause to worry. See, what is happening here is somebody that's not understanding the powers of his office. CAC is a regulatory body. CAC claims that they have, by CAMA, they are obligated to take action on fraudulent filings. Fraud is established by law. Fraud is established in court, not in administrative boardrooms. So if CAC claims that they have made findings of fraud, the best place for CAC to go and prove that fraud is in court. Indeed, when those people that were claiming ownership of our company, they went to court first suing CAC. When we found out that certain actions were being taken in dark corners to disenfranchise us of our assets, we now went to court to check that if what was the issue with that issue they have filed in court, only to realize that that issue had been discontinued. We then took CAC to court to stop them from taking this action, and the CAC Registrar General was served on the 28th of November, 2 clear weeks before he took this unilaterally and arbitrarily and reckless action. So what we are looking at here is a precedent where, if not checked, if it's not just foreigners that will be subjected to this, but when you have a CAC Registrar General, Magaji, playing hanky-panky in his office with sensitive corporate documents, nobody is safe, because you cannot hide behind omnibus, ambiguous, and misinterpreted clauses to do whatever you think you can do without recourse to the law. Is CAC an investigative body? How can the CAC be a court, a jury, and an executioner in this matter? JonahCapital, what the FCT minister declared after his investigation is what has led these people to try to, through the back door, commit a grievous crime. How can, look, it's like having an issue with your bank, and then you take your bank to court, and the bank manager goes and then clears all your bank history. This is absolutely ridiculous. I have never seen anything like this before. Do you really think that investors will have confidence in the system when we have a reckless Registrar General who feels?
No, could you please, no name calling, please.
I'm sorry, but it must be called for what it is.
No, but what you can state your facts without calling names.
Let's use respectable language.
Look, what is happening? Look, I am so passionate about this. I've been doing business in Nigeria since 2012 when I came to this country. The documents that this gentleman is claiming to be forged were some are dated in 2009. The relinquishment of these shares. I came to Nigeria in 2011. And you are accusing me of forgery of documents dating 2 clear years before I came. Look, excuse me, let me make a very critical point for you.
What is the involvement of Polo Homes?
Let me make a very critical point to you, and I'll come to that. You've seen the CAC expunging dormant companies, okay? I have been doing the corporate filings for this company since 2012. I have been paying PENCOM. I've been paying annual filings for this company. Where were these people who are now coming to claim that the company belongs to them? If indeed nobody was attending to these companies, by now those companies would have even been expunged from CAC records. That's logic. What is the indecent haste? What is the indecent haste? Polo Homes, as you mentioned, is somebody that we engage to help us get approvals for our company. I have the agreements here. We signed an agreement with Polo to help us get development control approvals and help us secure the land. I have paid Polo Homes over $3 million. So for this gentleman to come and sit here to say that we brought no funding here, I have bank statements. I have swift advice of monies that were transferred to my company, to Polo Homes. Every action that Polo did for me has been paid for. I gave him 66 hectares of land in Riverpark Estate. He was nothing more than a contractor for us. And now he wants to collaborate with certain parties to come and say that our company belongs. I mean, it is unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
No, Kojo, the documents that you're talking about, they're here.
Yeah.
Can we cite them?
Absolutely. Now, let me show you something here, okay? The gentleman yesterday came and talked about relinquishment of shares, right?
That's correct.
He says Sam Jonah relinquished his shares. He, however, forgot to mention that Olakitan Aramide Ogumuyua relinquished her shares right here, filed in 2008 in CAC. Ogumuyua Olakitan Adeniran also relinquished his 30%, 27th August 2008.
And those the same names?
No, that's a couple, husband and wife. And this is in 2008 in CAC.
But there are also allegations that these are fake and they are forged.
So if they are forged, how did they get into CAC records? Look, I'm not here to... Forgery is a grievous crime. And forgery must be proved in court. So who filed these documents? Which CAC staff members were collaborators for this filing, if indeed these documents are filed and in the CAC system? What the CAC Registrar General has done is that he has exposed and put his own corporation that he represents on the firing line by claiming that it can be penetrated. So if 2008, look, I came to Nigeria 2011. Look, as a matter of fact, I was in the US. I moved to Ghana September 2010. So I'm not even on the continent, for crying out loud. The first time I came to Nigeria is 2011. So if these documents filed in CAC in 2008, he claims are forged, then he should be looking within. Why is he saying that Sam Jonah relinquished his shares, but the other parties are not talking about relinquishment of their shares? Look, I will show you power of attorney for these two couples here, where they were given 140 hectares of land. Look here. And by the grace of God, all these documents that we were talking about were sent by email. Everything I'm talking about is in email.
Speaking of hectares of land, did you receive
501 hectares
from the Obasanjo administration? Did you receive
the
that?
land, look, and you see, let me now clarify that.
Yes.
My principal said Samuel Jonah, and it's public record, you can go to NIPC and confirm, was advisor to President Obasanjo and also advisor to President Goodluck. We did not just fall from the sky into Nigeria. If you go to NIPC, you will see the records, the minutes of HIIC conference.
But you haven't answered the question.
I'm coming there. It was during his President Obasanjo's tenure that JonahCapital was formed, that it was one of their meetings that he expressed his desire to invest in Nigeria, that the people I'm mentioning are all alive, that the land was allocated to JonahCapital. Look, if I say that, if somebody says that, oh, the land was given to me by Obasanjo, everybody knows that the president of Nigeria does not give land. If you go to development control, who signed for the land is there. In fact, are we talking about ownership of company or we are talking about ownership of land? Because there's never seemed to be a dispute that land was given to JonahCapital. It is people trying to hide behind nomenclature of words, trying to create
the issue, Kojo, actually,
nothing.
the issue, Kojo,
yes.
actually, that the other party talked about yesterday was that you relinquished your shares and the company was restructured. and that you ceded your shares to an American company.
Yes. Let me tell you, you saw the relinquishment of shares that I have.
Yes, you showed us that.
All the parties relinquished their shares.
Yes.
And they all relinquished their shares to the American company which formed Houses for Africa Nigeria Limited. Ogunmuyiwa and his wife were now given 20% of the new entity. And the American company, through House for Africa Nigeria Limited, had 80%. In 2011, when I came in, the American company, major financier called FMO Bank in Holland, decided that they were not going to fund the company again. And that is when my principal, who was the board chairman of the global company, now came and bought back the Nigeria assets, so bought the shares of the American company. And it was that point in time that heads of agreements were signed with Ogunmuyiwa, and he was given 140 hectares and signed this power of attorney, all here. Power of attorney, where he was given 140 hectares of land.
Okay.
That is the land that he sold portions of it to Dunamis Church.
So what do you want
Look,
out of this? What is the resolution that you need? I mean, you obviously want to make your voice heard, which has happened, but what is the way forward
the
on
way
this?
forward is simple. Nobody is safe in Nigeria under a regime where a registrar general can enter and break into companies' records and alter it as and when he wishes. I am not here asking for favors. I want due process. We are in court, and then the registrar general...
Which court?
In the Federal High Court,
okay,
which was served on the CAC on 28th of November.
A newspaper on Monday said that you went to the ECOWAS court. Is that correct?
Because of the challenges that we have petitioned the National Assembly. We have petitioned the government of Ghana. The government of Ghana has followed this matter from the beginning. And it is the reason why it was raised at the ministerial summit on Friday at the ECOWAS summit in Abuja here by the foreign minister of Ghana. Look, Nigeria and Ghana have a strong relationship. And a corporate dispute should not be allowed to degenerate into this level that it is. But when certain actors are using the state powers to come try and infringe on the rights of citizens of other countries, then it's incumbent on the country to also give protection to its citizens. Now, I believe, look, what I know, the president of Nigeria is a very close friend of the president of Ghana. President of and Ghana and Nigeria are friends. But if you take the actions that certain individuals have done with their offices they occupy, and you piece it together, so an outsider may look at it as a state act.
All right, Kojo, I'm afraid we are going to need to leave it here for now. But you've talked about the fact that you want due process to be followed, and that proper investigation should be done into all of this so that it is resolved finally. Would that be a correct summation?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So we thank you for coming on the program this morning to tell your own side of the story concerning the ownership crisis surrounding Riverpark Estate. Kojo Ansah Mensah is the Chief Executive Officer of JonahCapital Nigeria Limited and Houses for Africa Nigeria Limited, and has joined us to talk about the ownership crisis that is engulfing the Riverpark Estate right now.
Thank you so much, Kojo.
Thank you so much.
We look forward to that.
All right, let's move on.